Yo, 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 yo.
Yeah, I couldn't hear you, I'm sorry.
Oh, my apologies. We say, give us a little introduction on yourself, man. Tell the people a little background on you. Could you speak up just a little bit for us? We want to make sure the people get to hear you this time. But talk to us, man. Talk to us.
You hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, so my real name is Lou Ross. Thomas Niarn. Also, Bahamas. A little bit about me. I moved away from Bahamas when I was 13 years old to pursue a basketball. Always loved it, always wanted to play basketball, but you can imagine it being a tough decision for me to move away from home when I was 13 years old. So that was tough. But I had a dream. I wanted to be successful at the highest level possible. And I moved to Florida at 13 years old. I stayed there from 13 to 16. Moved back to Nassau for 5 months. When I attended Seattle High School. In the process of being at Seattle, I had some opportunities to go back to America to play basketball. I was just kind of waiting on the right move. And I ended up going to a showcase in Florida, Bahamas. And playing in that showcase, met my high school coach, Coach Collins instead. And I ended up going to Sunrise Christian Academy. Me and my high school were at Sunrise, and then from Sunrise, I was able to get recruited by the high level colleges. I'm blessed to
in Indiana my senior year, and then along the line, Michigan State came in. And then, long story short, I ended up signing with Michigan State, playing there for 4 years. During my journey at Michigan State, a lot changed for me as far as in my life personally. I kind of realized that I was more than a basketball player in my 4 years of college, and I had a lot of opportunities to do a lot of different things. I could coach, I could speak, I could play. So at the end of my senior year, basketball was no longer my life, but it became an option for me. Right? I just found my identity outside of the game. I just realized that I was more than a basketball player. So it was once in my life, but at that time it became an option for me, and I chose not to go down that path anymore. I ended up going to work for the Phoenix Suns for a year.
Woo!
And then I had
Woo! Hold on!
You know that?
Woo! I did not know that. Shout out to Phoenix Suns. Shout out for hiring you in the first place. And I know that's the hard work you put in. Shout out to Spoodia. Every time he say the Suns, I gotta show my guy Spoodia. Sorry to cut you off. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I ended up working for the Suns for a year in the player development assistant role. When they called me, it was crazy. I didn't know what they was calling me, but so I didn't really know whether or not I wanted to be a coach at that time. So that year was really difficult for me personally. I mean, a lot of people didn't know that, but that year was really difficult for me. But after that year, I had a couple other opportunities to work in the NBA with a couple teams, and opportunity to come back to Michigan State and work with the basketball staff at Michigan State. I ended up taking the job to come back to Michigan State, where I'm in my second year. I'm about to finish up my second year at Michigan State. Next month, hopefully, I will be finishing up my master's degree. So,
man, that's good.
Let's toast to that. We got to toast to that.
Good. I love that, Tom.
We have a little thing on our show whenever something special happen, anything that we got to celebrate, we like to get a little clink for that. Way to go, guy.
Yeah, that's definitely, trust me, we can toast to that for real. That's definitely something that I never ever in my life saw myself doing. Graduating with a master's degree. I would definitely be the first one in my family. Prayerfully, I won't be the last one, and that's kind of my vision for it. You know.
Yeah, I know, little bro gonna follow your footstep now.
For sure, I hope so. Yeah, I hope so. I'm not really big on being the first one to do something. I'm big on not being the last one to do something. So that's kind of my mindset about that. So that's a little bit about me.
All right, now I got a few questions. Cause I remember when you was 13. At Nash, you and Paschall, boy, listen, you all two together was crazy.
Yeah. Wow.
That's how long it's been. All right. Now I know you went to Sunrise, right? And which that's Kansas.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you play with Buddy, right?
I did. Yeah.
How was that playing like like going off to school and playing with a fellow Bohemian, in a different
Yeah.
place?
At a high level.
Yeah, it was special because I was actually at a school in Florida called South Florida Prep Christian Academy. I was at that school,
Oh Lord.
and there was rumors about Buddy. Buddy was supposed to come there. Now I never met him before. Before I got to Sunrise, I never met him, but I heard a lot about him.
Okay.
And it was rumors about him coming to the school I was at, but that never happened. So when I went to Sunrise, linking up with him was a special thing for me, for the both of us really, because we were two guys who were just hungry for success. And as soon as I met him, we kind of hit it off and built a good relationship. I remember one day, I was a sophomore when Buddy was a senior in high school. I remember one day we was living in the same house, but his room was next to my room. And he called me in his room one night, and he was like, bro, tell me about you. Tell me about your story and stuff like that. He was like, every time I look to the right, we run in the sprint. Every time I look to the right, you right there with me. Every time I'm in the gym, you in the gym. Like, what's your story? What's your background? And we kind of shared each other's story that one night, and I felt like that was when our relationship started to get super close. Like, we were super competitive. Like, our coach never put us on the same team in practice. Like, because it would be too easy for us. So what he would do is he would put us on opposite teams, so practice could be like, competitive. But I can remember in times when we was in high school together, like our high school coach, Coach Kyle, he used to ban us from playing open gym because it would get so serious between him and I that coach would just like shut the gym down from playing open gym. Like, it would just be, I come down in one possession trying to score on him, he come down the next possession trying to score on me. It would turn into one-on-one basketball. But I can't tell you how many times me and Buddy played one-on-one. I couldn't even count the times like we played one-on-one, but we definitely pushed each other. But it was definitely something to be able to play with a fellow Bohemian of that caliber of talent.
Right, that's special. And then it's so strange, it's so crazy that when you went to Phoenix, because Aiden was there too, right?
Yeah, Aiden was there. Yeah.
Right. So like you had so much connection with like Bohemians is crazy.
Yeah, that was good too because I didn't know. Obviously, I didn't know him
personally
prior to that.
Yeah.
I didn't know him. I'd heard about him though, and so when I first got there, it was kind of like, wow, I never met this guy before, but I heard about him. But we hit it off instantly too. But obviously, it was different because I wasn't playing. I was on the coaching side of things. But I was younger, closer to all those guys in age. So I tell a lot of people that I don't even think he know how good he is. I mean, he's that great of a talent. Like the things he able to do. I mean, I think he's as he continue to progress over the years, he will become one of those like once in a generational type player. That's the kind of talent I believe he has.
That's crazy.
Remember where you hear it here first.
That's crazy. Yeah, because looking at him too, like, see how you had the hands on eye to eye? Like, we'll watch him and be like, hey, he's okay.
He underperforming.
Right.
Because like that was our take for the past. We've been doing this for about 2-3 months, and our early take of the season was, hey, he's kind of underperforming. Now he 100% has stepped it up as the latter part of the season came along, but it's great to see him starting to realize that potential that you just described.
Yeah. Well, Phoenix is playing really, really good right now, and that organization is just trying to continue to move up and they have the pieces to do that. They have a great coaching staff, and they have great players to do it. But when you don't know how great you can be, anytime you want to be great at anything, it always takes time. You know what I mean? So you can be in the league for 4 years and you don't blossom until the 5th or 6th year.
Right.
So he around the right people to continue to push him every day. But any greatness always take time. Nobody has ever been great at anything in life. It happened instantaneously. It's the process. And I think as he continue to work through the process and continue to put in time, the sky is the limit for him.
I tell people a lot too. I say, I feel you were about 5 years behind your time. Like I think if you was 5 years earlier, you'd have been a lottery pick because you are a natural point
Wow.
guard. You know, you got the vision, you got the IQ, you got the leadership. Like the NBA changed so much where they want a scoring point guard that
Yeah.
it take away from a real traditional point guard, and that's what you were, or that's what you is to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I feel like I stay out an argument. If you was 5 years earlier, man, lottery, lottery.
I appreciate that.
All right, so
I appreciate it.
and to segue from that call, you've been asking some interesting questions to our guests, and one of the questions I gotta ask every guest now. When did you realize, and I want you to tell us about it, that when you said, hey, I might not reach to that highest level of NBA, and what was that transition like for you? Talk to us about that for the listeners.
Yeah. Well. Here's the thing with me. So, my college career, like I never, like when I was in high school, like for me, honestly, I can be transparent and honest. Like I think I'm a pretty humble dude. So when I say this, I'm still saying this in the context of humility. Like I've always been a good basketball player. You know, does that make sense? Like I've always been good at the game of basketball. Like I've always known how to play the game. When I was in high school, I played on a lot of great teams. But when my high school team, except for my first year, which was Buddy was the best player. My sophomore year, he was the best player. I was the second best player. When Buddy left, I was the best player the last 2 years on my team. And high school basketball was easy for me, right? And that's, a lot of offers and stuff came in like that. So, but in high school, like, I would be the first to tell anyone I've never been a great shooter. Shooting was never like my cup of tea, but I could always put the ball in the basket and I could always make the right play. So even in high school, like I never shot a lot, but I could dominate a game without shooting threes. Does that make sense?
You're right.
A lot of sense.
When I came to college, like I never planned on being in college for 4 years. Like my mindset was always the NBA, always, and I believe with all my heart I could play in the NBA. Right? That was always my mindset. I can remember when Kentucky started recruiting me, my junior year of high school. When Kentucky started recruiting me, my high school coach was like, "Wow." He was like, "Tom, like if you go to Kentucky, like you going to the NBA."
I remember that.
Kentucky was my dream school. So my high school coach was like, "Tom, if you go to Kentucky, you going to the NBA." So the NBA was always my thing. But obviously, I worked on my jump shot a lot of years. I worked on my jump shot. Like when I first left the Bombers, I couldn't shoot at all. So over the years, even though I was never a great shooter, I progressed it and I became a better shooter. But it was never like the main focus of my game. I was always, like you said, a traditional point guard. I was always good at defense. I was always good at leading. I could make plays. I could pass and stuff like that. When I came to college is a lot different than high school. Like everything is scouted about you. Like people know everything you're gonna do, and like you gotta be able to make shots at my size and my size. You have to be able to make shots. So for me, I always worked on my game, but when I came to college, like I didn't trust my work. And I as I share this with players, being on the coaching side of the game now, as I share this with players, the one thing I would always share with players is that I want you to be able to put in. Like, it's not about me believing in you as a coach. Because I recruited you because I believe in you. But if you don't believe in yourself, you will never be successful. So my thing was, I never was, at the high school level, at the college level, I was never really confident in my work that I put in, right? People would leave me wide open, and I get it because that was a game plan, right? But then I started to play tricks on my mind. Even though I was in the gym, I was like, this is tough. And I never really was able to get over that hump of really being confident like I was in high school. Because in high school, like, it didn't matter what anyone do to me. They couldn't stop me. I was the best player. You know what I mean? But when I came to college, I wasn't the best player on my team. But so that was kind of hard for me to deal with because I never really could shape, like, getting my confidence as far as, like, trusting the work that I put in. I never could really get over that hump. But I still could have played in the NBA if I pursued that I may not have I wouldn't have get drafted, but just from the information I got from coaches and scouts, like my route may have looked different than everybody else's route, but like many scouts have told me that I could play in the NBA, right?
I agree.
But my route would just look different. So the transition for me was I signed with an agent. My senior year, I signed with an agent, and I was about to, start. I started working out and, getting ready to go to this showcase in Vegas for, a lot of G League teams and a lot of overseas teams would be there and stuff like that. So I was working on. This was about May of my senior year after I graduated. But like I said, I really understood that I was more than a basketball player at this time, and I think what happened was because my career wasn't going the way I thought it was going to go. Like I really had to do a reality check, like tell them, like, okay, and that was when I had to really lean on my faith in Christ, right? So my sophomore year, going into my junior year, I ended up starting a Bible study, and that Bible study was really the thing that kept me because my career wasn't going the way I thought it was going to go. I began to spend more time in the Word. Running that Bible study really kept me grounded because I was frustrated about how my career was going on the court. But I began to, seek a relationship with Jesus Christ more and more and more. And I started to realize that my identity was never in the game anyway. But after that my identity in Christ was the thing that made me, kind of choose not to go in the direction of basketball anymore and be okay with it. And so around my senior year, when I had a chance to, I could work for Michigan State, or I could become a professional speaker, or I could play. Those were the options I had. So and at that same time, I was writing a book as well. So at the time I was writing the book was when I got the call from the Phoenix Suns, and they were like, they told me, they was like, every time we bring someone in to interview for the NBA, they always bring up your name. We would ask them who's the most influential person. They always be around, and your name always comes up. So we want to kind of bring you in to do what you did in college for the Suns. So then I had to make a decision. I was like, tell me, you can pursue this professional career. You can speak professionally because I had a job opportunity with Eric Thomas, the number one motivational speaker in the world. Or you could play, or you could work at Michigan State. And so I had to make a decision, and I ended up, making the decision to go to the Phoenix Suns. And on top of that, I also had a foot injury for most of my college career, plantar fasciitis, where it was really tough. And I had to factor that in as like, I don't know that I want to deal with this pain anymore on a consistent basis. Like, I probably should have. I missed 10 games my sophomore year, and I probably should have never came back my sophomore year. I should have just sat out the rest of the season because my foot was so bad. I was in a walking boot for 9 months. My sophomore year, I would have a walking boot on, but I would still practice. I wasn't able to get up shorts. I couldn't even stand up and shoot free throws. My foot was hurting so bad. But I was playing in the game. I was the starting point guard playing 25 minutes a game, but I was fighting through that pain every single day. So that was another thing I had to factor in as well. Like, do I want to still, work through the grueling process of getting treatment and doing all that all over again? I had to factor that in as well. But, I still can play. Like this whole year, Michigan State, I was on a scout team. I can still play basketball, but like, I think when you find out, for me personally, when I found out that I was more than just a basketball player, like I needed some serious healing to take place in my heart that I could be able to move on and propel into all that I'm capable of doing by God's grace. So that was kind of the transition for me. And I, even though I can still play, like sometimes, I played for the national team when I was with the Suns. They allowed me to go play for the national team. I enjoyed that, and even when I think it was maybe a couple of years ago or last year when we had like a couple of college teams come to Nassau, and like Texas Tech, Georgetown. I played in those games. I was so out of shape. I was just at home, just chilling. And Chris DeMarco, who was the head coach for the Bombers national team, he was like, he said, you might as well come play with us. I was like, man, I don't know if I can run up and down the court without being tired. Like I ain't in good enough shape to play. But it was fun for me, so I still played in a couple of those games. I didn't really want to do it, but I still ended up doing it, and it was fun for me. But that was kind of my transition from a player to a coach.
Awesome.
All right, that's powerful, and I appreciate you sharing that with us. The part that you said about your identity and finding your grounding and focus in some God. That I just see that as powerful. I think a lot of people need to hear that and understand that maybe what you think is right for you might not be for you.
Right.
But if you find your grounding and your focus, and especially in some God, you could figure it out. And I appreciate you sharing that for all the listeners.
Yeah.
Now we do have go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, we do have another question. It's another question that we like to ask our guests, and this has been fun every time we ask it. We need to know your top 5 Bahamian basketball players outside of yourself.
Let me see. Buddy DeAndre, for sure. Am I putting Bahamian Americans in this too?
No, you know what? Let's exclude Buddy. Let's exclude DeAndre. And then exclude
DeAndre?
Yeah, like they're in the NBA right now, so let's exclude them. Let's talk about guys who ain't in the NBA, but people might still know about from the basketball scenes for the past 10, 15 years. Because your name came up a few times with some of our guests. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm hoping that you could return the favor. We gonna see.
Yeah, that's tough to exclude Buddy and DeAndre. I mean, I like Kai.
Yeah, Kai Jones. Shout out.
I think he can be very, very good. Who else? To be honest, I mean, I don't know how y'all would feel about it, but I mean, this is just my take. I like Dominic. I think he's a very good point guard. I know he's young, but I think he's very good. I would say I like Franco.
Okay.
I like Franco. Travis Munnings.
We're getting some different names right here.
Yeah.
Now we can compare some lineups. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Give us one more. That's it there? I tell you, give us one more, or that's it there for you.
I would say that that would be it for me right now. I think those guys have a lot of potential. I mean, like there's so many guys we have overseas, like Elgin Rose.
Call the names.
Michael Carey. We have so many guys that can.
Shout out Guinness.
Cool. Yeah, I would go with those guys if I exclude Buddy.
All right. We appreciate that.
All right.
What is your 5? What would be your 5?
I'm gonna leave that to Coach over here. But Coach don't want to put himself in that position because he has so much players that we won't bring him as guests too. If he lists a 5 right now, that means it's gonna be like 20 guys we miss.
Like, look, for me, it's hard to pick.
Right,
It's hard to pick, so it ain't no offense to nobody. We have a lot of great players, and it's no offense to nobody.
That's why we leave it to our guests. I think maybe at the end of the season,
I can do my 5.
We're going to put together a 5 at the end of the season.
Yeah.
I got a question for you, Tom.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is my 3 memorable moments for you, right?
Memorable moments?
Right. This is my 3 from what been watching you for the past 4 years at Michigan. So, I just want to get your take on how you felt at these moments. All right?
Okay.
3 moments. The game-winning shot you made. Who was against? Man. I forget what team it was. It was a game-winning shot. The ball bounce, bubble, and ran in. Arizona.
Yeah.
How you felt winning that game-winning shot at that moment?
I mean, that was a game tie-in 3. We ended up losing the game on the buzzer, actually.
All right. That's a tie. All right.
Yeah, it was a tie. We was down 3, and it ended up tying the game, and then we lost that game on the buzzer, actually.
All right. I mean, y'all celebrating like thought y'all won the game.
No, we could celebrate because the game was. We know We get a chance to go to overtime.
All right. All right. The next one, Battle for Atlantis. Coast to coast.
Oh, it was nothing.
And that dunk.
I was there for that. I was there for that.
At home, in front of you. How you felt?
Yeah, that was. I felt. I can't even put it into words how I felt. That one was like when I was coming down the floor, right? I saw the lane open up, and I was like, okay, if nobody stopped me, I going up to dunk it. But what was so special to me was the fact that a lot of my family members had never seen me play live.
Right.
Yeah. They never seen me play college basketball live. Like my great grandmother was there, my grandmother was there, my grandfather was there, my cousins was there, my aunts was there, my friends were there. Like, and just being able to play at home, it was super special. Like, it was crazy. I don't know. That was definitely top 2 moments of my college basketball career for sure.
Like that there was ringing in the Bahamas. Like
The whole island. When it happened, all the phones ringing up. If you post a video on that, you was popular and cool. Like, that was awesome. It was awesome. And I remember sitting there live. Me and my young lady was there. She don't even like basketball. When you did that, she running around. Like, it was that powerful. Because he was representing the Bahamas. Right, he dunked for the Bahamas when he did that. Then and I know Tom definitely knows, growing up over the Bahamas, the biggest moments in the gyms is when a guy pull off a nice dunk. So, like,
yeah.
And give him that last moment. Give him that last moment.
The final moment. I know you're gonna feel this one. Senior game.
Yeah.
Like, you was the last one to come off the court, the senior. You kissed the logo, ran the Izzo. Like, what was that moment like for you?
That moment was special for me. I mean, because it was special. They played the national anthem before the game. I didn't know they was going to do that.
That's crazy.
That was
shout out Michigan, yeah.
Somebody had a Bahamian flag in the game. That was special. But it was just, it was special because I poured out a lot of, blood, sweat, and tears into the program, and they did the same for me. But, I don't know. I don't know this to be true, like a fact, but I don't know about another Bahamian that has played there.
Right.
So to be able to be from the Bahamas and, to be a 3-time captain at Michigan State University, like, to be considered one of the best leaders in the school, like, having all that happened to me there, and, the kind words and things, coach said about me, and former players, and, just the love I felt on that. I can't tell you how many former players texted me that day. Former teammates texted me that day, and, sent me a lot of great messages and stuff like that. So it was a very special time for me because I was like, wow, I put in so much work at this place. People wanted me to leave Michigan State. A lot of people don't know about that. After my sophomore year, people wanted me to leave. But, I felt like deep in my heart, it was more than just basketball deep there. And I felt like, I had a real family and people at Michigan State. So that was a really special time for me. Just to see the reactions of, fans and people. I can't tell you guys how many messages I received and the things that people said to me that I just went, wow, you never truly know the impact you have in it. Like, I know so many kids from the Bahamas and all across the world. It was special for the game to be on ESPN and all that stuff.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It was a memorable moment for me, It was special.
Even Izzo was in tears, man. I was like, yo, look at that, like a coach in tears. Yeah. Like you see, he really appreciate you. He loved you as a person and what you did for the program. You could tell.
Yeah, it was. After we played out my last game, we played against Syracuse. We lost that game. Like, that was difficult because it was just like, wow, it was the end.
That's it. Yeah.
It was the end and stuff like that. But I have a lot of love for the program, a lot of love for coaches that coached me, and you know, it was special being able to put on that jersey, and I wasn't just playing for me. I was playing for the Bahamas. Every night I was playing for my family. I was playing for Michigan State. So it was way more than I always tell my teammates. I was like, especially when it came to me being a captain. Like, there's only been 7 3-time captains in the history of Michigan State basketball.
It's crazy.
And I was one of them, right? And I would always tell my teammates, I would be like, bro, y'all don't understand. Like, I'm not even an American.
Right.
So for the things that the Lord has blessed me with and allowed me to do at Michigan State University, like it's really I know it's all God's grace. So that first off, that humbles me. Then again, to know that I'm not even an American. Some of the things that I've achieved, it's just like, wow. It doesn't matter where you from or where you was born. You have dreams. And, you try to go about doing things the right way and stay focused, and anything is possible.
All right, good. I have one more question, then I'm gonna pass it over to Carl to close us out. Another thing we like to do with our guests, and I think it comes a special way from you as a coach, a person that had so many different experiences at all levels. What would you say to the young basketball player in the Bahamas? That young player right now, if you want to give him some advice on how to move and how to take it all in, what would you say to him?
Can you repeat that question one more time, please?
So I know you have a lot of experience from the coaching levels, your own personal experience through basketball. I want to know, what would you say to the young players in the Bahamas coming up to encourage them, to motivate them? Give them a word right now for us, please.
Yeah, well, the first thing I think I would tell a young player in the Bahamas, the first thing I would try to get down into his heart is for him to understand that he's more than a basketball player.
Really?
And reason being, I feel like if you understand that earlier rather than later, like, I'm not saying this because I want I don't want them to chase their dreams. I want them to chase their dreams with everything on the inside of them. But when you understand that you're more than a basketball player, just if you don't achieve what you want to achieve in basketball, if you lose basketball, you won't lose you. Does that make sense?
A lot of sense.
Like, when your identity is tied up into a sport or whatever you do, if you lose that thing, you lose yourself. So if you can understand that, even in pursuit of trying to be great at the game of basketball, I feel as if it's important for young kids to know that you are so much more a basketball player. So if you understand that in pursuit of your basketball careers, if things don't go the way you would want them to go, it would be an easier transition for you. But also you would realize that, wow, I can do so much more than just play a game. Than just play a game. And I know people may see me just as a basketball player, but I'm so much more than a basketball player. So that would be the first thing I would try to get down into their heart, is to understand that they are much more than just an athlete, right? The second thing I would say to them is, like, you never get better at practice. You never get better at practice. All you do at practice is display what you did when nobody else was watching.
Gotcha.
So, like, you don't get better at basketball in practice. You come to practice, you work on the team concept, you work on whatever it is you got to do to become a better team. But you become a better player when nobody's watching. So if you want to be great, you have to be intentional about spending time at the craft. Does that make sense? You have to be intentional about spending time at the craft.
You almost had me first.
You won't get better at practice. You will get better when you spend time in the gym when nobody else is watching. And I know, many kids back home are unfortunate to have a gym, but, like, even if you could go to, a playground or a park or whatever, you have somebody rebound for you, try to perfect putting in time and being intentional and invested in your game. Because a lot of kids may want to make it to the NBA or play professional basketball, but that don't just happen by wanting it. You can't wish that to happen. You have to work for that to happen. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So the second thing I would do is to tell them to invest in their craft, invest in the game, because you won't be great at it just because you want to. You would have to work for that. Like all these players that they look up to, they didn't just get to the level they're at by wishing it to happen. you have to work for it to happen. So that would be the second thing I would say is to invest your time in the game if you really want to achieve at it, if you really want to be successful at it. And the third thing I would say is this. I believe the one of the most important things in life is decisions.
Fox.
Like there's the saying that goes around in the world, and a lot of people say this. They say, every great man is formed from a woman, right? And people even use the Bible to say that, if you look at every great man and a woman, they fall from a woman. Samson and Delilah, David and Bathsheba, all these different things. And that's not true. I don't believe that to be true, right? People fall because of decisions. Like if you look at David and Bathsheba, David decided to do what he did, right? So decision making is super, super, super important. And what I mean, every decision has a consequence. So if you understand that as a young man, as a young woman, trying to play the game of basketball or whatever sport you want to do, if you understand the implications of decision making and that every decision you make, a consequence is inherent in that, I think it'll help you make better decisions in terms of the kind of people you hang out with, the things you would do. And if you understand the weight of decision making, it can better help you put everything in place. Like it can better help you choose. Like, okay, I want to make it to the NBA, so let me weigh the decisions I have. Should I be doing this or should I not be doing that? Right? So those would be the three things. The three things would be, the first one would be to understand that you are much more than an athlete. The second one would be to invest time in the sport, whatever sport you want to do. And the third would be to understand that every decision you make in your life has a consequence attached to it. And if you could understand how to become a better decision maker, that would help you to be able to pursue your dreams in a more efficient way.
Well said. I couldn't say it better.
We appreciate that, and that's powerful.
It really was.
I'm gonna pass it to Carl to close us out right now. Go ahead.
All right. Yo, Tom, I really appreciate it, man, for taking your time out. I know you're busy up there in Michigan. We really appreciate it. To hear your testimony, your journey, from then to now, and still going on in the future. We really appreciate it. We wish you nothing but the best.
And thank you for representing the Bahamas at such a high level.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. I really appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Oh, and one more thing. Let them know where they can find the book.
That's good.
Where they can find your book. So, if they want to reach out and get it, you could even, I have it inside the message. You spoke it earlier. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna put it out there, too, also, so that people will be able to just be able to purchase it and read it and get a better understanding of who you are.
Yeah. You can find it on ericthomas.com. This company is the one that published my book, so it's there. And I'm not sure if they still have any copies left at Nassau Stationers.
Oh, really?
All right. So I can't remember the exact location, but I'm not sure if they have any at Nassau Stationers. But hopefully, whenever I come home, hopefully I can bring more books over there. Thank you.
All right.
Of course now. So what we going to do, guys, we going to give our little goodbyes to Tum Tum. We're going to give him an opportunity to hop back in the chat. So what we're going to do is run some ads for about 3 minutes, and I promise you it's only 3 minutes, and we're going to be right back right back to get back to this down of Fox basketball.
I love Chris Rich.
I want the money and power, my nigga. I gotta go get it. I want the house with the mate and the view, niggas see how we living. I see the vision, my niggas is with me. We go till we get it. Can't put your faith in the snake. Hating niggas know the business. Watch how I get it. Hustle and pray, 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 hustle and pray. I want the money and power, my nigga, I gotta go get it. I want the house with the lake and the maiden of you, nigga. See how we live. I see the vision, my niggas is with me. Going for gold, there we yeah. Can't put your fate in the snake. Hating niggas know the business. Watch how I get it. Hustle and pray, hustle and pray. Waking, I talk to God every day. Still, I got niggas rhyming with these K's. Protected by war ready anyway. Hustle and pray, hustle and pray. I ain't a rapper, but I hate the taste. I eat a pussy cause I love the taste. When I devour beats, this ain't my grace. On the grind till the money up. We ain't having no fun till the funds is up. Got a click for the niggas with guns is up. Running up on the winners and runners up. Boy, what you running for? Shit, you know what they say, I can rookie ya. I say few shots up with daddy sick of ya. I can leave you the civic all riddle up. Look what I did to you, putting in work. This the thing and we put them in dirt. Got the friends and the family in shirt. Getting guala don't get yourself hurt. Cause it's brand hustle over everything. Make a killing, have my people living, man. Run the train on Lizzie with the Benjamins. You can tell a friend to go tell a friend. Fuck it, tell a man. I want the money and power, my nigga. I gotta go get it. I want the house with the maiden if you niggas see how we live. See how we live. I see the vision, my niggas is with me. Go till we get it. Can't put your fate in the snake. Hating niggas know the business. Watch how I get it. Hustle and pray, 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 hustle and pray. Trust and believe, I'm about to get it poppin' with the team. I got a dream, it's about to happen sooner than it seems. That's with the buddy. You can never call me broke or hungry, cause I be the God on my knees. The real niggas stay with a scheme.
I rewrote the list. Hey guys, we are back again. We want to shout out Tom for that strong, powerful, wise message that he shared, encouraging, motivating message that he shared with us. I was just telling him, hey, yo, like, even beyond basketball, that was really powerful to my life. Know who you are, be more than what you do, and find your grounding in God and be intentional about what you're doing. So, man, great stuff. Our interviews, I keep getting better and better, man. Thank you, Carl, for bringing in these guests. I got to shout you out for that.
You know, they trying.
Yeah. All right, so now let me kill you in some arguments, Carl. What we're going to jump into now is our power rankings. We call this the Fine Nine. What we're going to do is our top 9 teams in the NBA. We do this bi-weekly, so it changes from time to time bi-weekly. Carl been kind of Philly hard recently, so I want to give him a little love last time, but I want to see what Carl have Philly, and I have a big surprise for you with my just out the bubble. So I won't go first. I won't go first.
You go first.
I won't go first. Oh, the phone gonna mess up
You
now.
can go first. I'll go last. You know why I'm going to go last? I ain't cocky.
I'm confident. If they say, oh, I get it again. Almost though. Alright, we still in there. Alright, so on my outside looking in, I got the Los Angeles Lakers. Although they just won a game last night against, I think, the Toronto Raptors, I had the Los Angeles Lakers because I don't see them continuing their winning ways. If I saw them pick up, who they pick up? They pick up Ben McLemore. If Ben McLemore is your prize pickup in the buyout season, I am worried about the Lakers.
I don't think it's a prize, but it's just what was next, what was best.
What was their left or whatever. But I got them at number 10. So I didn't take too long with these, too much explanation. But I got the Hawks at number 9. The Hawks are still in 4th place in the East. I got the Mavs. They're coming up right now. They're starting to play a lot better. Luka Doncic is really getting better. I think they're like 6 in the West. 6 or 7. I got the Blazers. The Blazers have been consistently in that 5th, 4th, 5th, 6th area, and they've been chucking along. McCollum's back, Nurkic's back, and they're playing a little bit better. After I got the Nuggets, they are on the tail, and with all the pickups they have, I only can see them getting higher, so look for them to be higher on my list in 2 weeks. Then I got the Bucks. That's another team that's picked it up over the rest, the latter part of the season. But I think they've done enough to crack my top 5. In my last 5, I got the Clippers. I got the Suns. I got the 76ers. Joel Embiid has come back, and he's playing very well. He had a good game on his first game back. Then I got the Jazz. I thought they would fall off. They look like they're extending their lead a little bit inside the West, so I can't not act like they're not doing some work. And in the past 10 games, I think they have one of the best records in the past 10 games. And then, obviously, the Nets never fully healthy. They don't never have everybody there, but they just keep on winning. And they picked up Blake Griffin, LaMarcus Aldridge. I don't know what to say. The Nets are number 1 for me. Don't argue me. Let me hear yours first, and we're going to jump into our little arguments there.
Delete about it. Because I don't know what.
No, you were like, let's find each other.
It's all right. It's all right. All right. This my Define 9 for the last 2 weeks rankings. All right. On the bubble, I got the Los Angeles Lakers. In the last 2 weeks, they've been 4-3. You know, they win 4 of those 2 in the last 2 weeks. At number 9, I get the Mavs. 6-2 in the last 2 weeks. They're on a 5-game, presently on a 5-game winning streak. So I got them at number 9. Number 8, I get the Bucks. They've been 4-4 in the last 2 weeks. They was up and down, a little shaky. Number 7, I got the 76ers. They're 4-3 in the last 2 weeks. 4-3, they just start. Come on, they just start coming back. 4-3. 4-3 in the last 2 weeks. Number 6, I got the Blazers. 5-2 in the last 2 weeks. You know, they had a 4-game winning streak within that stretch, so that's why they're up there. Number 5, I got the Nets. 5-2. They never was fully healthy. They're 5-2 in the last 2 weeks. 5-2. They had a little 4-game winning streak also. So I give them they're right there. You know. Number 4, I got the Clippers. They're 6-2. They had a 6-game winning streak within the last 2 weeks. Number 3, I got the Nuggets. 6-1 in the last 2 weeks, and they were on a 6-game winning streak as well. Presently on a 6-game winning streak. So that's why they had that big jump for me. Number 2, I got the Suns. 6-1. They're presently on a 6-game winning streak. They're doing good. And number 1, I got the Jazz. They're 7-1. They lost 1 game for the last 2 weeks. They had a 9-game winning streak. They just lost to the Mavericks, and that's why I put the Mavericks there at number 9 and not the Hawks. But that's how I got them there. So, yeah, that's my top 9.
All right, the 2 teams I want to argue that I see we have flipped all over because everybody else really close. Now I'm going to wait for the camera to come back real quick. So the 2 teams I want to argue. I want to argue the 76ers. I want to argue the Nets. Yeah, like, you know what's good because we've been consistent about it. I feel like you yourself said the Nets has been on a 4-game winning streak. They've 4-2 in the past couple of weeks. Why you got them so low? Even though they don't have everybody there.
See, on my list, they're 5-2. Every other team above them only lost 1 game.
6-1, 7-1.
Right, only lost 1 game.
Okay.
I put the Clippers there because the Clippers 6-2. They still get a better. They got 1 thing, but they've been consistent more than the Nets.
All right.
Because they had the players.
Right. I can argue that.
So that's why I had the Nets at 5. They don't lose 2. Yeah, they only have to lose 2 games.
All right, then talk to me about them Sixers.
The 76ers 4-3. Still inconsistent. Joel Embiid
But
came
he
back.
didn't play for some of those games.
They still a record. So what? Because he ain't been on.
I just feel like when I watched that last 2 games, I'm like, I gotta move them up my rankings. You know what I'm saying?
If not, they would have been number 9.
Fair enough. No, but yeah, let's look. If they did not have those good couple, I probably would have had them like 7, 8, 9.
Right.
So I feel like you should have given them some credit for those 2 games.
That's what he said.
But I can't.
They 4-3 in the last 2 weeks.
I can't argue a list. Like I said, we always close. There's always those 2 teams that we always playing around with, and then maybe the Jazz. But I think me and you give some respect to the Jazz this week. Respect. Let's get a little toast to that. Respect to the Jazz this week. Keeping it moving right along. Curfew, we got to deal with that. We still in Bahamas and all that. I wanted to jump into a couple of injuries I wanted to talk about. The first one I wanted to talk about was Josh Hart. See if I can run a little video in the background while we're talking. All right, so Josh Hart had a UCL injury in his right thumb. A UCL injury, ironically, is inside the snuff box area. That's the ulnar, aka Snuffy Dog. That's the ulnar collateral ligament. So with that type of injury, you can have your different types of tears: grade A, grade 1, grade 2, grade 3. His own was a very serious tear, so that was a grade 1, grade 2 or 3 tear, and it was possible that he could have continued the season after surgery because it's almost like about 6 to 8 weeks. Normally, 8 weeks a little bit more for basketball players because they dealing with the ball so much and the contact with the ball. But the positions that the Pelicans in are right now, they barely might make the playoffs or the play-in tournament. And then he might be a free agent net by the summer or restricted free agent. It just ain't lining up that it makes sense for him to come back. Now, if they jump into the 7th seed or 6th seed, and then you got some playoffs, he might come back with the playoffs because that only can up his stock if he has a good playoffs.
He might.
So it's possible. So we're going to see with that.
Ball keep hitting 3-pointers again.
Yeah, they're getting better. Zion's playing good too. I think he had a little bit of injury around the same thumb area. We might talk about that next week as well. But that's what's going on with Josh Hart. So we probably not going to see him for the rest of the season. But like I said, if they make the playoffs, he might make him and his agent might make better decisions as well as the team. And before I move on to Paul George, anything you think? Like, you think Pelicans losing a lot? He's been playing good the past couple of games. You think the Pelicans losing a lot with Josh Hart?
No. I mean, no.
Like in Zion's absence, he stepped up. Even averaging like 14 and something.
But Josh Hart just doing Josh Hart things.
Okay.
Yeah,
He's a good role player.
Yeah.
All right. So the next injury I wanted to talk about real quick. Paul George, TG13, Pandemic P, whatever you want to call him. That's a bad shot. That's the guy I want to talk about. So what he's been dealing with is kind of interesting. That's why I really want to talk about it. He's dealing with a stress edema in his second toe. And what that edema is known for, edema, that's the technical word for swelling. So he's having swelling in one of the bones in his toe. They believe it to be one of the first phalangeal bones. The reason why I want to talk about it because that's a real nagging injury. There's no real remedy to fixing something like that other than rest. Mm-hmm. But you see the Clippers, they got to deal with basketball. Kawhi might not stay if they don't make it to the finals. So I think that Paul George feels a lot of pressure to keep playing.
So it's safe to say Kawhi is going off of the season.
Might be safe to say. But you will see that every game and every other game, they always ask Paul George, how you feel about the toe? Is that a nagging injury? And with stress fractures, the more you walk in and playing on it, the more it gets worse, So I want to talk because I think this is something that may affect him in the playoffs.
So
unless they try to rest him in the last few weeks.
Right, they probably might do that because if they made it, they're going to make the playoffs.
They're going to make the playoffs, obviously.
Right.
But they still fighting for them top 4 seeds.
You have to because nobody like the Lakers is a funny team whereas if you played in the first round,
no matter where they is.
Yeah, like you could be gone, but
no matter where they is.
You could be gone.
Yeah. So that's pretty interesting with him. So what we need to watch with him is and if you're a Clippers fan and you're watching, what you need to see is check him out after interviews. Watch his game. If he have like a 30, like last night he had 34 points, he looked good. Check his game afterwards. Check his back-to-back games. Those are the games where you're going to see he's probably dealing with that injury. It's looking a little bit naggy to him. Yeah. And if you see him take a break in the last 2-3 weeks, I want you guys to know that's exactly what he's dealing with. Just to rest it up so you can go fully hard the rest of the playoffs. And then all summer, you're going to see what you're going to do with that. But that ain't nothing you can do surgery on. That's just you're going to have to take a break from basketball when the summertime reach.
That's what it is. Oh, okay.
All right, so next up on our list, I definitely wanted to talk about this. This is a video I have to run for you guys. The NCAA tournament, Final Four, as well as the, we'll talk about the basketball. I didn't get the basketball highlights for us, but we're going to see watch the Final Four video.
Indianapolis, now only 4 remain.
Saturday at the Final Four is the greatest day in sports.
National semifinal, Game 1, Houston and Baylor. The Final Four, after a 2-year absence, is underway. Inbounds and blocked. Whoa,
that's unbelievable.
Right over, and then Gorham swats it off the backboard.
I guess that glory.
Sasser tries and he hits. Sasser loads up another one. Sasser got another one. And that's a 3 by Butler. Another one, yes.
Well, we can talk about this over.
Houston's leading scorer, Grimes, has not scored in this game.
This looked like that.
Comes back.
How pretty is that?
Oh, what a shot. Now with 5. Mitchell wants another 3, and he finds it. What a dominant first half performance. Baylor, 25-point lead at halftime. Inside, and Cheney off to a good start in the second half. Grimes, nice. He's made up 9 so far. Chachua. That was the 10th assist for Mitchell. Chachua with that strong move inside. That's as impressive as it gets. Baylor advances to the championship game.
Game 2, Gonzaga trying to become the first team in 45 years to go undefeated. UCLA looking to derail the Bulldogs and become the first to go from first 4 to the national championship game.
The outside shot for Chusang. Oh, my goodness. Marquez with the basket.
This team believes that they belong. Nice deflection and Timmy in the open floor.
Timmy slams it down. 6 seconds. There's Kispert. Guns it down. Gives Gonzaga the lead in a wild first half. Gets the pass to Kispert. Campbell undaunted and lead by 1.
Wow. Oh, you can't leave him in help.
Campbell.
Nice pass.
Riley, one alive by Suggs. My gosh. Fantastic. What a pass. At the end of the rim, Timmy gives the Zags the lead. The Bruins with seconds. Here's Chusang in the paint. And charge cold with less than a second to go.
Yeah, it's those big moments in these pressure games.
Nice bounce pass entry.
Nice
Nice
throw.
Nice with that drop step
Nice and
finish.
long.
Look at this kid. Look at this
It's
kid.
almost look like
Basket taken over. Jaquez. Oh, clutch. Shot to tie it or win it. Juzang in the paint, floater, short, got it back, ties it with 3. Gonzaga has time to do something. Suggs for the win. Oh, yes! Unbelievable.
People are Kobe. Should have saved it for the finals, for the championship game. Boy, this is
Are you? Oh my God! There is
One of the great games in Final Four history. Gonzaga set now to play not
I
only
know
for a
it'd be so
championship,
rough for some of these
but for
players,
a
especially
big piece of history.
No, these losses are rough. And maybe because I already know what's going to happen. That's why.
Indianapolis now.
All right, so let's talk about it.
Remain.
Saturday at the Final Four is the greatest day in sports.
So that was the lead up to the championship game. If you didn't watch, Baylor won the championship game by like 10, 12?
Yeah, about that.
Yeah, it wasn't a close game. They kind of like, if you watched it, they manhandled them the whole game. And that's why I wanted to point out, Baylor's team was like football players. Bunch of thick dudes. Vital, I think his name was. Bunch of thick dudes just running around. They jumping high. They moving fast. They taking you off the dribble. I'm like, how do you beat that?
But see,
who beat them all year?
That Baylor team was the same team last year who was doing good. That if it wasn't for the pandemic, they probably would have gone on the field as well. And see, that's what I love about college basketball. Like, if you have a program where you have players coming back,
not just ones and twos maybe.
Right, that's why there's a lot of teams that develop good programs. They be inside the tournament for so long, or they go so deep in the tournament. Because even that Gonzaga team, Jalen was the only freshman there who really was. But
right.
Yeah,
and yes, Gonzaga did lose in the championship game by a good margin.
Yeah,
a good margin. And if you watch the game, it didn't look like they were going to win.
No,
I think throughout the whole game,
it was a boring championship.
Right. After such a big high in the Final Four, the championship game was kind of a letdown.
Man, yeah.
But I know you're the college man. I want to know, is there any players we should look out for that may not be in college no more in that Final Four and from those couple of teams?
Shucks, he's going.
So definitely him.
He's going. I haven't heard anything but Baylor team, like, persons leaving us yet. But I feel they probably will come back again. You know, it's be a good and bad thing. But once you know how your stock is, you should know when it's time to leave.
Right. And then it's like you said, especially you were telling me like upcoming draft right now is going to be a lot of really, really good players.
Yeah.
It might not be the best decision to leave now.
Facts.
Yeah, so that might be that too.
So.
And they did have a lot of second, third, fourth year players on their team.
So
but like it was exciting to watch. I kind of mad at myself for not participating more inside the NCAA tournament until later on. But I saw it was like good games, a lot of good players to watch, and like not like we were just watching the Final Four, some really highly skilled players.
Yeah, that's college basketball is different, man. Like they really put in time. If they put in work, they really put in work.
All right, so moving on to I think we do have time for this topic. This is going to be our last topic. We're going to listen to what Isaiah Thomas had to say. This was a few years ago, but the clip has been making its rounds on Twitter and social media. So we just wanted to talk about it and just give our little takes on it. I think our background person may love the conversation.
You know, I look at LeBron and what he's done is mind-blowing with what he's had to work with. And what I mean by what he's had to work with, LeBron James came straight from high school. Do you know who his high school coach is?
Drew Joyce?
But I'm just asking. Do you know?
No.
Do you know?
I know St. Vincent, St. Mary, but I don't know the coach.
So this is the point I'm trying to make.
Quotes from
right?
Yeah.
He didn't go to college.
Yeah.
He's taken every rookie coach he's had to the NBA Finals. So from an educational standpoint and a knowledge base, where did this brain come from? I mean, he's the Einstein of basketball. Because when you look at myself, you look at a Jordan, you look at a Shaq, you know, we had Hall of Fame coaches. Like Michael Jordan played for Dean Smith, Hall of Fame. Then he goes and meets Phil Jackson, Hall of Fame. Doug Collins, those were his first coaches. He was around Tex Winters. I was around Chuck Daly, Coach Knight. So from an educational standpoint, the knowledge that we were given and what we were able to apply out on the field and out on the floor, that came from somewhere. I look at LeBron James and I go, where'd he get all this?